agree. I have no perspective. I'm
Ah,
useless, Calvin.
welcome back to the class, everyone. Today we are joined by the APGAINS. AP, how you doing today?
I didn't know that I was deserving of a "the" in front of my name. I would have settled for a "the," but I'm happy for now.
Also, looking at the screen right now, there does seem to be a little bit of delay between your voice and your face. So anyone who's watching, don't
No!
don't be alarmed by that. That is completely normal and totally planned for. So, AP, today we're going
Close
to be
your eyes.
talking about off-meta counters for Galactic Legends. I know you currently have a 2 Galactic Legend count. That is correct.
Yes,
So you
it is
probably
correct.
I'm not sure if you're how often you do it, but you do find yourself in a situation sometimes where it would be beneficial to be able to kill Galactic Legends in 3v3 without having said Galactic Legends, correct?
It would be.
So that's what we're going to be doing today. And this is going to be a pretty easy video. There are not a lot of teams that do this, and each Galactic Legend kind of does have a specific weakness sitting out there. I have most of these teams built, but not all of them. So the first one we're going to be talking about is Jedi Knight Revan and Jedi Knight Luke versus SLKR. So AP, have you ever done this counter in 5v5 or 3v3?
I did it in 5v5 once, but I have terrible mods, so I needed a 25 speed datacron. It worked. I'm 1 for
Oh,
1, so not to say that I'm perfect, but I have a better counter percentage than .gg, so I guess I am perfect.
yeah, you outbeat the wizard, and that's always something great to talk about. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's a really simple counter. You can even do it with under relic to Jedi Knight Revan and armor. They just need to be able to survive like the first hit, so that Jedi Knight Revan he'll proc Savior, he'll go over to Jedi Knight Luke, and then armor can throw the Beskar on to Jedi Knight Luke. I know some people who have you heard of people using Beskar and Jedi Knight Revan?
Beskar on Jedi Knight Revan instead of Jedi Knight Luke?
Yeah, because so SLKR has a priority to hit Jedi Knight Revan, and apparently, if you do this,
Mhm.
then nobody on
It
your team dies because he can't get through Jedi Knight Revan because he just keeps healing.
That sounds awfully fishy to me. Like I always say, a lot of people do a lot of things for a lot of reasons. I don't know if that would work in the wild. Maybe in a very, very well, procured situation, but, I mean, if it works, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but I guess you could give it a try. I mean, it's not my GAC. You feel free to go science it up yourselves.
Yeah, so I think it might work at like high relic levels. I had a R1 Jedi Knight Revan for the longest time because I secretly hated him deep down inside of me. But that being said,
Why?
he's
He's
I just
awesome, dude.
so he was the original power creep in the game for me, and he
Yeah.
just kind of ruined everything. But that's that sounds like another video, honestly. But yeah, I think at a higher relic level he can take the hits. Lower relic level he probably just gets his face beaten. But it is another option that maybe you can explore in testing or something like that.
Yeah,
The
I mean, that's like one of those things like, "Oh, hey, like, if you use your R9 this, the survivability is really great." I'm not gonna R9 my Jedi Revan.
is there going to be a Van Seal comment in there somewhere about Dad Boba being R9?
Van Seal's violently mashing his keyboard right now. Boba Fett sign of Django is misunderstood.
Okay. Speaking of Van Seal, this is actually a perfect transition now. We have a really good off meta counter to Lord Vader, and this is like not applicable for the next 2 3v3 GACs because it's going to involve beating Lord Vader with Fennec, which is just not going to be a thing. He's gonna hit ult, and your whole team's gonna be ability blocked for 5 turns in a row, and you're just gonna die of sadness like Padme.
Mhm.
But yeah, so what do you think about this counter AP using Fennec, Grief, and then either Bam or Mando Beskar armor versus Lord Vader?
Well, so are you using the BAM I can't die or the BAM I can kill Datacron? I guess is the real thing.
It's doable without either. If I had to take a preference, and I do have a preference, it is Bam the I cannot die. The only issue I have with it, and this is going back to relic levels, because my Grief is an R5, I don't get to use the Datacron.
I mean, dude, I can't use a Datacron. I can't use a 25 speed Datacron because my Aura Sing is gear 12. So, like, I just hate the bounty hunters with Datacrons. But I mean, the 25 speed helps out a lot. And, God, man. You got to R5 your tunes, bro. Don't you know we live in a post R4 world? You're just not adapting.
Now,
Got to R5.
It's rough, man. Like if this all came out and then they didn't do like profundity and executor and whatever is coming in Crumb's puzzle and stuff like that, it would be one thing. But all that other stuff thrown on top of it, it does like making R5 Jedi Knight Revan, R5 Grief on a budgeted roster very difficult.
It's a dude, I almost lost a GAC when the Set 2 Datacron first came out because I didn't realize my Jolie Bindo was R4. I was like, "Oh, dude, I got these 2 Riposte Datacrons. I got a Jedi Knight Luke and a JML. I'm gonna I'm gonna kill SLKR with Jedi Knight Luke, and I'm gonna kill JMK with the JML." So I did the all defender JML versus JMK one. I went in against SLKR, and I was like, "Oh, my Jolie's R4. I can't use this Datacron, or I can't use Jolie." I still won, but still, like, I was just like a moment of heartbreak. And then that applying that last R5 to a character who doesn't need it just it sucks every time.
Oh, and well, and
Never get
it's
used to it.
when your account starts to get closer, it starts to be a little bit better. But again, when you're trying to build a roster, you're trying to get Galactic Legends. It really does hurt because at a certain point, you do get a lot of good value from relicking characters for Datacrons, but it's not sustainable because if you keep doing it over and over again, and you'll go up in Kyber, you'll start getting more crystals and whatnot, but then in the long run, you just start missing out on some really big important characters that don't really care about Datacrons. But that being said, this counter works best if the enemy team uses like a Maul Canderous team, you really need Bam here to make sure Maul just doesn't destroy someone. If not, the Beskar Mando is actually really nice there to kill Royal Guard because then Fennec can just rip Thrawn or whoever is in the third slot apart.
And for all a little bonus poor person fact here, a lot of you guys will be playing Lord Vaders that don't have Datacrons, or at least
That's
not the
true.
good Datacrons. So, just don't be 9 million GP and you'll probably be fine. Is I guess the word of advice for today.
And unfortunately we're approaching that, so that'll be fun for us. But speaking of being poor, we have the dash counter to JML, and this one actually is pretty good. We've seen a lot of people use it for a while now. I know this is actually kind of invented by Blade Baka a couple seasons ago. It uses Dash, Vandor Chewie, and young Lando Calrissian to take out Jedi Master Luke. This basically entirely relies on the AI being really dumb, and it works with pretty good success because they just keep not killing Vandor, and eventually young Lando just starts destroying the enemy team. And this is without the current Datacrons. But have you seen this in action before, AP?
I have. I saw some footage of it a while back. It resurfaced recently, I think, because Arnold did it, and then everyone else was just like trying it out and pumping out like the YouTube for a couple days was just all this counter. That's like the only thing that people were doing. But yeah, I remember seeing it a while back and thinking like, oh, this is another cool thing in the game that I'll never be able to do, and it kind of faded from memory. Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure what the 5v5 variant looked like for Arnold. I did hear that he did that, but young Lando is just a very steep cost. Like we talked about, like R5 in Grief
yeah,
or R5 in Jedi Revan. Those are like somewhat within means. Like I cannot, unless he's going to be a requirement for something, and he very well might be. I do not ever see myself relocating, but it's an option that people should be aware of, not
yeah.
only for your own offensive capabilities, but if you see your opponent has this, maybe don't leave your JML on defense.
I mean, at this point, we're at the point in time with the amount of characters, the amount of relics, the amount of Datacrons. You can say that about everything. Like, don't like everything except for Lord Vader. Just like don't put that on defense. Applies to like everything. I think we're at a point where you just have to gamble and just hope that you place the right bad things on defense.
Yeah, so everything does have a counter. Everything has been figured out, and I do agree. Right now, it's Lord Vader. A month ago, it was Rey, but there's still a handful of things that can be nice if you can draw out specific things. But that's a pretty ends up being a pretty complicated strategy. But now, actually, I think this is the most accessible off meta counter. Hopefully, some people's opponents will be nice enough to place a bad C comp to do that, and that is Wampa. What does your Wampa look like, AP?
I think he has mods and he's R3.
Does he have the Omicron?
Yes.
And what are you beating with Wampa?
Quite literally everything. Um, when you're like sub 6 million GP, your opponent will always place a team and likely multiple teams that you can Wampa. I mean, even though my opponents are all 8 million GP, even 8 million GP players will oftentimes slip up and play something that you can beat with Wampa. But I mean, more often than not, it's like a cleanup C, or it's a Mon Mothma, or it's an Iden, or it's anything with rebels that isn't CLS. That's generally what I do with it.
Yeah, I think that theme actually, at least for 3v3, 5v5, maybe not so much, but it really continues throughout the pretty much the entirety of the end game. It's very hard to not place, the amount of teams you need. I think it's like 15. Yeah, 15 in
Too many.
Kyber. Yeah, like you're not right now. It's if you're trying to make a specifically anti-Wampa board, then you're probably just also setting down some weird stuff with tenacity down that something else is going to clobber as well. So, but the reason why we're talking
Yeah.
about Wampa right now is because he has a lot of capability versus C. Unless your opponent is pretty strategic and knows this, and they're not going to play something like Malik or Crew or something that's just going to immediately end Wampa. He's able to do really well with his Omicron. He gains a bunch of stats. You do want, I like, not everyone likes this, a fair amount of defense on him in his defense sets. You do want health primaries because that's where his protection up comes from. That's really what helps him tank those hits because he's not going to be able to gain a lot of turn meter with Deceive going on, but eventually he can build up enough damage so that he can take out, like I said, C, as long as there aren't any specific characters in there that specifically stop him, like Crew or Malik.
But he is fun, and that's all that really matters.
He is really fun.
Stop trying to off meta counter and start having fun. Maybe we could all get along.
And we're down to the very end of the video, and just like that, AP game just usurps everything.
I wouldn't say usurps. I'm not Uhtred, son of Uhtred, but I don't know. I'm Reddit's least favorite streamer, so I guess I have to do something unlikable each video.
No, you're doing it's been nice having you here, AP. I do like having you on these types of videos, especially because getting your perspective, regardless of what it is in my reality, is also nice because the amount of people playing, like we were saying before this video even started, some of these counters we were looking at Maul before, and just something the vast majority of players are just never even going to touch, and that having that information is useful because that determines what is great and beneficial to everyone.
Someone in chat said, "What perspective?" And I agree. I have no perspective. I'm
Uh,
useless, Calvin.
According to Obi-Wan, there are plenty of points of view, and lots of them, not all of them, are valid. But I think that is going to wrap it up for today. So, AP, where can people find you?
Can we acknowledge that that was a great outro? You should just ended the video there.
I mean, I can cut
I make
this like that. I have an
No,
editor
don't cut it. No, this is extra character development. The fans love extra character development. They like the lore.
for me or for you.
You can for you.
Okay,
My fans already hate me. Yours just haven't known you enough to hate you yet, so you gotta get there.
that's fair. But AP, where can
I'm
people find
APGAINS,
you?
generally at work, but sometimes on YouTube. APGAINS, YouTube. That's pretty much it.
All right, man. Again, appreciate having you on here. I do both for the advice as well as the laughs. Remember, everyone, to like and subscribe, and as always, stay awesome.